Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we'll be looking at the Critical Delay mod. This is a corrupted mod that's recently received a buff and it is now stronger than Point Strike, but it has a minus fire rate penalty. This is going to be part 1 in a series and we're going to be taking a look at how to use it on assault rifles today. Normally you'll be wanting to use it on weapons that can benefit by offsetting some type of negative or by completely negating the downside of the mod. So we have Prisma Grakata here, a weapon family that historically has a lot of problems with ammo economy as well as one hell of a kick due to the fire rate. In this case, the critical delay is actually pretty useful because we get to control the fire rate and recoil a bit more for more headshots. Additionally, the weapon is hybrid viable, sitting at 33.6% status on viral. This way we can run a very efficient viral hunter munitions setup. In these weapons that we're going to be benchmarking, we're not looking at crit chance, but rather the non-crit chance. Critical delay raises it from 60 to 71.6, meaning we're cutting out 1/4 of the non-crits. This is how we're going to determine if the mod is worth slotting. So now let's spawn in these heavy gunners. It's actually extremely easy to keep our shots focused on their heads. This makes it very easy to land all of those headshot critical multipliers for much stronger slash procs. You can really see the slash doing its job and killing them off here. Our next weapon that we'll be looking at today is Exceltra. Now this is a weapon that has force impact procs on it, so you might be thinking, this weapon seems to have a lot of advantages and maybe you can even use it with internal bleeding. So we have critical delay here to push the critical chance from 80 all the way up to 91.8, so we're cutting off more than half of the non-crit. Theoretically, this makes it have a lot of good paper DPS. However, the status is pretty low, so it might be a little bit difficult to get any viral procs going. Once again, we're going to be running Hunter's Munitions, as actually the force impact procs are only on the initial hit itself, which only makes up 1/3 of the total damage, therefore you don't want to use internal bleeding on this mod. Exceltra has some ammo problems, so you'll be wanting to run Vigilante supplies, but I can't fit it on this build because I don't have enough Forma. Shooting the floor causes a lot of AoE damage, which is where the bulk of the damage outcome is from. But you can see we don't get that very strong slash procs here, and that is because you don't have the headshot multiplier. So if I shoot the heads, I get a lot more damage out of it, and it's very easy to shred them down. The problem is the force impact procs stagger your enemies and make it very difficult to do follow-up headshots, making this weapon a little bit of an odd choice. Critical delay, while improving the critical chance, makes it harder to land all of those hits on the face as you're shooting slower while their heads continue to move fast. Now our next weapon we'll be looking at today is Batacore. This is a frequently forgotten weapon, but it's actually extremely powerful, having pretty decent crit stats and even stronger ones on the alt fire. You can see it sits at 91.8 here, just like Exceltra. Slotting on critical delay increases it from 80 to 91.8%, taking out over half of the non-crits. We want to be fueling our slash procs very strongly, so I'm running a combination of the primed cryo rounds as well as malignant force to bump up our status a little bit. Then we have our alt fire, which is a charge hit at 34% base crit chance. Critical delay pushes this all the way up to 97.6. And this is very important because Hunter Munitions only has a 30% conversion on crits. So you really want to make that alt fire count since you can only shoot it once before having to charge it again. It would just suck having to shoot it, not crit, and then proccing slash. As you can see here, the primary fire is extremely efficient at proccing viral as well as slash ticks, being able to consistently kill them off in 2 shots. When you shoot the alt fire, you just gotta pray that the slash procs, because well, if it doesn't, you see here, then they won't die. But if it does, it's a piece of cake. So I'd say this is actually a pretty decent setup, and critical delay makes the weapon a lot better. Now the next weapon we'll be looking at is Tebron Prime. This is in the similar vein as Batacore, but it has an even stronger and faster burst fire. However, it does not carry a heavy hitting alt fire. Instead, it has auto and semi. The 6.0 fire rate is much higher than Batacore's. You won't even notice the penalty that critical delay imposes. As you can see, the lower the crit chance the weapon has, the less benefit you get by running critical delay over point strike. Once again, we're going to be running a partial hybrid setup with Malignant Force and Prime Cryo rounds, as we want our slash procs to be as strong as possible. Tebron still carries 32% status with a single 60-60, so it is definitely worth it. You can see 2 quick taps to the face here is more than enough to shred them, doing more damage than batacore did as well as being faster. You really don't want to touch the semi mode, as you can see it's pretty slow firing even though it has slightly better stats. Auto on the other hand is basically just a faster shooting semi that has much worse crit and status. Our next roundup is fullman. As you probably saw in the internal bleeding build, I made one small change here, and that's swapping out point strike for a critical delay. The fire rate has dropped from 2.17 down to 1.39, but that's okay because you don't really want to spam fullman's pseudo shotgun anyway since it only has 6 in the mag. Critical delay boosts your crit chance from 75 all the way up to 86.1%, taking out almost half of the non-crits. This is nice because it makes internal bleeding even more reliable. Because we're not running Hunter's Munitions, we're not as reliant on the crits here, so all around it's just a really nice increase. It still takes 2 shots to the face to take them out, but it just makes it that much more consistent, taking out half of the non-crits. There really is no reason to not use this, as fullman is a type of weapon where you really want to take your time to line up the headshots anyway, so that reduced fire rate isn't that much of a penalty. Our last lineup for today is the Ferrox. Now this is another interesting weapon. It is of the charge type. It also has basically non-existent status, so I went full slash instead. You can see the charge rate is all the way down to 0.32, and this is for a very specific reason. I chose to run Vigilante armaments instead of more damage with heavy caliber due to the deviation problems on the shots. Also, more bullets means more slash procs. I'd rather just be able to hit more slash than do more damage initially. You don't want to put everything in one basket. Additionally, I chose to run Vial over heavy caliber. As you can see, the charge rate is more than twice as slow with heavy caliber. On Ferrox, the fire rate also affects the delay after you shoot before you can shoot the next charge shot. It's bad enough to the point that it feels really uncomfortable to use at 0.78, so that's why we're sticking to Vial acceleration here, as you can shoot 2 shots even faster than a single shot with heavy caliber. That's it for part 1 of this series, taking a look at how you can put critical delay to good use. If this is your first time watching, feel free to leave a like or better yet subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. 74% of you are not subscribed. You might want to hit that button to make sure you don't miss any tips and tricks, as well as you bet I'll be the first to cover Tempest Starry when it drops. That's it for this video, thank you all for watching and see you all next time.